Confidential. All right, guys. So, how many of you have your, devices with you, like laptops? Or maybe just get comfortable. This is going to be somewhat of a practical workshop on just FHIR, getting started with it. And so, if you have a device, you can use it. All you need is a browser. So you can use your phone. It will just hurt your eyes to move between the different pages. So all right. So I think there's been a lot of discussion about mapping data, right? Like how do I take data from my system and map it out to the interoperability standard? And how do I now receive data from another system into my system? And I think when HL7 started out, like especially V2, or even before that, I think they had V1.
V2 is the first balloted version.
Balloted version, okay. So it's always been exchanging data. And internally, they always had, you're allowed to do whatever you want. You have your own data models, and you send out what the interoperability standard asks of you. So at MedBlocks, what we do is we build clinical workflows. We build software focused on clinical workflows, and we do it on top of standard data repositories. So there is this emerging concept. You want to be able to separate your application from the data, especially if it's a clinical application. And the reason is really simple. You take any normal technology artifact, any application, the maximum lifespan is 10 to 15 years. How long does an average patient live? More than that. So when you want a longitudinal patient record, when you want to store information about this patient until this patient dies and this patient has the next generation, and you still want to persist all of this information, it becomes essential to separate your data and separate your application. If each application comes up with its own schema of what blood pressure means, its own schema of what a prescription means, and then does this over and over again, you have data loss at every step, right? Like every single time, every 15 years, you switch vendors, you switch applications, all of your data is gone, right? So FHIR has a lot of different paradigms and it has a lot of different profiles. It's a jungle out there. But there is this one very specific part of FHIR, one specific profile, which has the ability to act as a health data platform. And this is the FHIR REST paradigm. So the idea here is that you take a FHIR server, you take it like any other server, like how you would use Postgres or how you would use MySQL. You take it as a backing service, and you have it with your stack. You have a FHIR server in your stack. All the applications that are using this persist data to the FHIR server, so they can create patients, they can edit patients, they can view patients, they can list patients, they can search, they can do whatever. All the data stays on the FHIR server. The application does not keep all the data in its own proprietary databases. And when the application dies, or when we know that, sometimes the application developer dies. But in case, even if that happens, all of your data is in the FHIR server. It is safe, it's secure, and you have a longitudinal, data, even if there are multiple applications using the same FHIR server. Okay, so this is the idea behind the health data platform. You can again Google more about this. There are more resources out there, and FHIR is not the only one doing this. This idea itself is more important than the standard and how we do it. So as again, we are both doctors and we do not care about how it happens. It's clinical data needs to persist. We need standard ways of operating on clinical data. You need standard ways to define rule-based engines so you can do clinical decision support. And if each one of you is going to define prescription in a different format using a different code system, I don't see a future where we can do this, right? So health data platforms, you use FHIR and you run everything on top of it. So this is more of a practical exercise, but I'll show you what. So all of our software runs purely on top of clinical data repositories and clinical data platforms. So I'm today going to just teach you how you can do this yourself. just by taking a normal FHIR server and doing all of these things yourself. So this is our, a doctor comes in there, they want to just list the patients and see what is going on. As a FHIR server, there are many FHIR servers available today. You have the open source version like HappyFHIR, or you have Microsoft's .NET implementation of FHIR server. You have Google managed FHIR API. You have Azure managed FHIR. You have AWS Health Lake. So you have all of these options available to you, which are extremely scalable FHIR servers. How can you use this as an application developer? How can you back this FHIR server and build your applications on top, right? So that's what my agenda is today. But how many of you are really interested in this topic? Like, okay, so you really want to separate the data out and you want to keep that in the FHIR server. That's more than we usually get, but okay.
You set the premise so attractive so no one can say.
I mean, not really. A lot of people are like, let it be in my own standard format, we'll map it out.
What advantage, what restraints might be, for example, if imaging data is too heavy to be moved?
Yes.
Any restraints which actually not allow people to adopt?
Restraints which will not adopt. Yeah, there is definitely a cost to adopting this, because the software developer now needs to understand FHIR, like what I'm going to tell, like what kind of API calls you need to make to the FHIR server. You're constrained by the FHIR server. You're constrained by
What restrictions are there?
yes, what can be done.
Data be saved there?
Yeah, you don't usually save it directly. You store it in a DICOM server or an S3 bucket, and you reference it in your FHIR server.
Okay, from their VNA, we can try to have the reference.
Yeah, you can reference it in your FHIR resource. There are multiple profiles for this as well. People are, defining. There is DICOM Web, for example. There is a DICOM Web FHIR implementation guide. How do you reference DICOM Web artifacts in a FHIR diagnostic report? So there are all of these. This work is going on. It's pretty good. So here, there is a lot of data here. How many of you have already queried a FHIR server at least once in your lives? Okay, that's good. That's good. Then I think this could be a Q&A. Let's see if you're able to figure it out. If you're not, then I'll show you the answer. Okay, and all of you can follow along. We've just opened up this FHIR server to the public for today. So just go to fhirmeet.medblocks.com/encounter. We'll be working with the encounter resource specifically today. You can open this on your phone as well, but it will be a little, the text is a little small. So fhirmeet.medblocks.com/encounter. Yeah. Can I just get a confirmation once one of you checks and ensures that this works?
Get is up here.
Can you? Yep. Up. All right. Up. Okay.
I can see the response.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. That's it. That's it. So that's. Yeah. You can use it in Postman. I in fact need one of you to be on Postman because I have a post request that I need to make. So.
And seems like the encounter E capital letter, it's a case sensitive.
It is case sensitive. It is case sensitive. E is every time in FHIR, the resource type is case sensitive. So you need to make sure you get the casing right, especially. So right now we are operating it on a FHIR server that we are hosting. It's based on the open source HappyFHIR. We have some data there already. But if you're interacting with any FHIR server, any compliant FHIR server, Google, Microsoft, Azure, it'll all be the same, right? All of their FHIR APIs are very similar. If you learn one, you can interact with any FHIR server. Okay. All right. So we are going to be looking at a few search parameters. So these are the search parameters we are going to get into. So some of these search parameters are general, so they apply for every resource. Okay, and the document for that is available on the FHIR search page. So you can just go to this HL7 FHIR search, just search for FHIR search on Google. This will be the first hit. These are general FHIR search parameters. Okay, it applies to every resource. Now there are also specific FHIR search parameters, and this search parameter list you will be able to see at the bottom of a particular resource definition, right? So let's say we have encounter, and the bottom of encounter you have all of these search parameters. Okay, you can search it by date, for example, and if there's a patient, you can maybe search it by name. So these are search parameters that you will find on the page itself, on the FHIR definition page. Okay, and some profiles may have extra FHIR search parameters and so on. All right, how do you get this number? So I want to show my doctors how many encounters are in progress. Underscore total.
And count.
Yeah, but underscore total alone, would it be enough?
Status progress.
Yeah, status progress, yes, that's correct. We only want the progress. So can you tell me how many are there right now on the FHIR server? So it's not underscore total is correct, but there are many implementations of underscore total. So there can be underscore total. You need to say that I want the exact count to the FHIR server. Otherwise, it will not return the count. It will just return the resources. And again, like people who don't have a device, you can maybe look at other people's regress.
Where do we enter that? This is the response body that I'm getting.
Yes, that's a response body. All of this goes in the URL. It goes in the URL. So right after encounter, you just put a question mark and put underscore total equal to accurate. Can I know how many resources are there right now totally?
Question mark underscore, right?
Yes. So this is how query parameters work. So there is a question mark, and after that you have a query parameter value equal to something, and then if you have more, you just put an and.
61.
61. Excellent. Those are the total number of encounter resources. Now, how do you make sure that you only see in progress resources?
Active. Like status. Active.
Exactly. Good. So again, like one more thing is here, we are doing count 0 because you don't necessarily want to overload the server with things that you don't need. It's going to return all the FHIR resources as well. If you're only going to get the count, you can just say, I don't want anything, just give me the total. That's fine. But you also need to add status in progress.
But the
right?
FHIR server will give the paginated result, right? Like in a bundle or something.
Yes. It will give it in a paginated result. I mean, you can choose to call that anyway. Like, fine, it's just maybe like 20 results you get.
Yeah.
That's fine. Maybe it's not taxing the server a lot, but if you're optimizing at the level of, like, if you really want to optimize, you don't want the result. You just want how many are in progress. So
I didn't get what you said is when you put only ampersand underscore count equals to 0, you are not going to get the bundles.
You're not going to get the result itself. You're going to get 0 entries, but you are going to get the total.
So only the count.
Only the count. Can I, what's the result of this? This would have 60. Yeah.
I got a, so for the total and count, we are adding underscore.
Yes.
But for status, there is no. I tried to.
Exactly. Because total and underscore are general FHIR search parameters. It applies to every resource.
Okay.
This status comes from the encounter specific. If you see the, look at this.
Not this one.
No. So here, I cut it out, but okay. There is status somewhere here. It's in alphabetical order. There is status somewhere here, and it tells that, okay, that's the status of the FHIR resource, and it can be in these states.
Could you open a FHIR page and
Could you just go back one
Yeah.
second? I'm a bit lagging behind.
Yeah, no,
I'm
sure.
actually creating them as a bunch of requests. Count and status.
Status in -progress. And I mean, you can also view the FHIR page, and I'll maybe go there later. There are a lot more to do in 30 minutes. Yeah. All right. So status progress 60. I think that's the right count. Somebody must have discharged one patient while we are. Okay. How do you get all of this list? I want a list of all of my encounters.
This data, it is pulling from which server?
It's our own open source server, and we just opened it out to the public today and again, none of this is real data. It's like example data. So how do I list this now?
List of encounters, right?
Yeah, list of encounters.
You can just do a get, right?
Perfect, exactly. So you do a get. Again, you want the total for showing it up here, so that the all encounters are here. Again, It was just coincidence that all the encounters were also in progress in this particular scenario. But right now, if you were to get it, you would get 61 encounters in total. And what you want to do is, again, you want to paginate, right? All FHIR servers don't support automatic pagination. So this is the way you paginate. So you add this underscore count, so you only get 20 resources per page. Exactly. So can someone tell me how do you go to the next page?
Offset, kind of.
Yeah, you can click on this button, but like, how do you? Very smart.
There will be a link for the next.
There will be a link for the next. Not all FHIR servers support that. Okay.
How do we come to this state, like wherein we have list of all the encounters?
So you can just do this. In fact, you can just do /encounter, and you don't even need to do this underscore total if you don't want the total here. You can just do /encounter. It will give you the list of all encounters.
Okay, so it's in the bundle format, right?
Yeah, it's in the bundle format. All of this is the API format. I'm talking about API, you'll have to build your UI nicely on top of it. Yeah. So we are doing this count again just to make sure that the FHIR server does not return like 1,000 resources. Because
we are limiting.
yeah, we are limiting it. We don't want 1,000 resources. Nobody's going to be able to look at it, right? So pagination, this is not a very well documented FHIR thing, but there is a thing called offset. Okay, so you can always offset and you can say count. You can offset and you can say count. And notice that when you put the offset as 20, it will go to the next page, and it will take 20 resources from the offset. So you don't have to change the count to 40. Okay. So offset automatically just like skips the first 20 and then takes the next 20. Okay. You can easily paginate on resources. You can do all of this. All good.
So just to follow up on that.
Yep.
Offset, let's say the 20 becomes 40, then it's
Yeah.
page 3 in that case.
It's page 3. It's page 3. So from 40 to 60, it will give it that. You do not need to change the count. Okay.
So this,
So the
this is the
count
standard
will be-
implement. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This is the standard implementation of the API. What you
Of all FHIR servers. All FHIR servers which support the search parameters, this is the standard implementation.
Yeah. So the count is 20 on that page.
Yes.
So the next page also is a 20 count.
Yes.
And the
Count will always be 20. It's just how many you want to retrieve.
okay.
Offset is just how many you want to skip.
Okay. So,
So-
let's say I have 100 records
Yeah.
coming in. So I want only 20 for my first page, and then
Yes.
offset is
5
20.
pages.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You can decide how you want, how many pages you want. You can do that. But it's a very common mistake I see developers do. That's why they always also change the count to 40, thinking that it's like SQL.
page will have
Yeah. It doesn't work like that. It's just 20. Keep it at 20 and just use offset.
Whatever offset you want.
Correct. So let's say we have a filter here. Like let's say we just want to filter out in progress. How do you do this?
No, underscore filter.
No, I mean we can
The same status.
same status. We are filtering by status here,
Oh,
right? So this is again an encounter specific thing. So we are filtering by status. We want to do that. So again, it's the same thing as here, except like oh, actually I made a
you have to
mistake.
remove count.
I have to remove count to 0. I have to paginate here again with the same thing. So state. Good catch. Okay. How do you? Okay, let's see if one of you are able to answer this chocolate or something. So this is the encounter. Okay, it returns the encounter. The result that you see in your browser only has the details of the encounter, but we want to display the patient's name here. Okay, and we want to display like, okay, what was the location that this encounter is taking place in, or what is the practitioner that is actually assigned to this particular encounter. How do you do this?
Include.
Underscore.
Yes. Okay. I'll get chocolate. Okay, fine.
Reference maybe.
Yeah, there is something called
Underscore.
_include. It is a very it's general. It applies to all resources. The way it works is that, again, you can try this out. You don't need to include location as well. So you do _include encounter _subject. So here, what you see as the subject is nothing but the search parameter in encounter which references the patient. So for example, I could search, let's say I want to search only encounters of a particular patient. What I would do is I would say encounter, query, patient or subject equal to some patient ID, right? So doing this, saying include, encounter colon subject, what it does is, while it retrieves the encounter, it also pulls the associated patient. Okay, so if the ones who are checking it out, you won't see it in the top. You need to go all the way to the bottom, and there you will see a few search results that are resource type patients, and that will have the search mode as include. Okay, so again, if you want to include something else that the reference this does, you can include the, okay, I want the location resource as well, I want the practitioner resource. You can include all of this, so you can do it in one API call. So you don't have to, again, okay, I need all of this. So people do that. You sometimes, like, they just make another API call, and again, it becomes inefficient, it becomes slow. So you can do all of this in one API call using include.
I have a question. So with the encounter colon subject,
Yes.
actually it's pulling the patient results
Yes.
along with it.
Yes.
So how do we map that name? Like
It's in the search parameter page of encounter. You can also do encounter colon patient.
okay.
But in the encounter resource, when you reference a patient, you actually call it subject. So if you go to the FHIR, okay, I'm going to exit this for the time being. Let's see if we can go to, internet is not connected. I'm sorry.
Okay, I get
Oh,
it.
yeah.
The subject in the reference bracket, it says patient group.
Exactly. So subject is the patient group, right? So when you say patient, it only references to a patient, but an encounter can also relate to a group of patients. So there can also be a group of patients which an encounter can associate. So that's why subject is a more common term, and patient is more specific for one single patient. So there's a subtle difference, but all of these details are in the FHIR definition of the encounter resource. So all of these generic ones, which are like a little cryptic, these underscore include and all that, that's in the search page of the FHIR documentation. These specific ones which are there for a particular resource are available on the specific resource. So if you go to encounter, you go down to the search parameters of encounter, you will see subject. And you'll also see location.
But
So
if in Snowmud City, they don't call it as a patient, they call it only as a subject.
Yes, it's because patient usually involves like humans. Subject includes dogs and veterinary subjects.
Even in FHIR it says like patient has like all of these other aspects like veterinary or all can refer to that.
Right.
The terminology is called patient.
Patient versus subject, I don't know. They just,
Okay, they specifically say that you have to use this term.
I think it's to avoid ambiguity.
Ambiguity.
Like the patient may not always be the subject of an encounter.
It's not always a patient. He might have been patient for a while.
Correct. He may not always be a patient. Like a patient is also.
When you're talking about the relationship, you can say the father of the subject.
Right.
Father of the subject.
Right.
You can say.
Yeah.
But
So
subject
this
is
is
the
true.
patient.
Yeah, most of the time.
Instance, maybe. It's a record of one person, right?
Yeah. No, the patient.
It starts with
The
the patient.
person who is subjected to the encounter.
So this is more of an ontology discussion. Like what is it called?
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
So you have a person resource also in FHIR.
Yeah.
But how many of us really use a person resource?
Yeah. So you could reference a person also. Like, okay, they're not a patient because they're not sick. They're a person because they're not sick.
And
Okay.
yeah, see again, Snowman, at least what little that I know, is that it's not only for illness industry, it's even also for wellness industry. So if a person is going to a gym, he cannot be called as a patient.
He's a subject.
He's a subject.
Yeah. But it's like, but he's there. That's like that's it. So yeah.
Follow up on that.
Yeah.
Let's say there are 4 resources which are referenced to encounter. Let's assume.
Yeah.
So for every resources which I need to pull, I'll have to include the search parameter underscore include.
Yes.
Yeah.
So these are all things that are in the encounter resource itself, but they reference something. So in encounter resource, if you see like the bundle that you have, you will have subject, but it will say reference and it will say patient / something. You don't want to make another API call to this patient. Instead, if you do this, that patient will be included in the search result in the bottom. So you can take it immediately. Okay.
If I want to query here that patient, how many times he has visited?
Yes, you're asking the right questions. We do that. I'll come to this later. Okay. Yeah. So how many times the patient has come? Okay, that's a very good. Yes. We'll finish the simple ones first. Okay. How do we do this? So let's say we don't want to sort by, again, I think this is sorting by time, but let's say you want the latest encounters on the top.
Yes, last updated.
Last updated is one way, but the last updated may not always reflect when the patient has shown up. So last updated, okay, there is this other search parameter, there is this concept in FHIR, last updated, which is when the resource was last actually updated. I think it's not the best idea to use that when you are doing a sort on encounters, just because you can store the date of when the patient came in the encounter resource itself, right? So if you're doing that, it's a little bit more, you have the confidence that this patient came in, he's been waiting for 2 hours, but just because I updated the location from reception 1 to reception 2, I shouldn't lose the fact that this patient has been waiting for 2 hours, right?
See, again, this if you look at from an underlying database perspective, what we have been taught is that every table should have a created at, updated at. Those are table level create and updates, but then there is a visit start time. So we should rather refer to the visit start time.
Yeah. So visit start, visit end, both are available in encounter. So one is you can do sort underscore sort equal to minus date just means that descending order. If you do date, it's ascending order. So there is also another specific search parameter for start date. So if you do this date, it actually takes both. It sorts based on, so it usually works. So most of the time it should be fine. It should work.
Or the parameter date is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Start date.
Correct. Start date. There is also the start date concept in FHIR, which you can use that parameter as well. Okay. And again, all of this, whenever I'm doing this sort is a general FHIR specific thing.
Sorry, can you sort based on the unique identification?
Yes, you can. But it's kind of like sometimes this unique identifier might be just randomly generated. You could do that if you.
Because at an enterprise level, we would want to have, to understand the patient not based on the name, because you can have 5 Sitas and 2 Kitas, and same second name as well.
Yeah.
The only identifier would be my patient.
Yeah, exactly. So what we do here is, so for example, here this ID that you see here, this small number is actually the identifier of the patient. So we did pull the identifier of the patient, but we don't think most of the time it's necessary for sorting on the ID. Maybe in your system, the ID will automatically be generated in a sorted order, then it also correlates to date.
Okay.
So
How do you visualize if I have another integrated system already existing in place?
Yep.
That generates an identification number.
Yes.
And I'm using a FHIR server for integration.
Yes.
How does that work?
Very good question. There are a lot of mechanisms to do this. There is change data capture that you can use to pull in from these databases and in real time push that to a FHIR server. That's what we use at MedBlocks quite often. And the reason is like you want this to be running live along with the FHIR server. So in many places, we do only clinical stuff. We don't do billing. We don't do bed management. We don't do anything. Right, so.
What runs the show? So
Yeah, that's what runs the show. But we come in and we are like, we do clinical things well. You the HMIS people, you take care of this. Let's integrate with your system, we'll do clinical stuff well. So we usually have to integrate with someone like that. Very often, that's.
So just an announcement, tea and snacks are there.
That's it, I'll choose 3 more parameters. That's it.
So maybe a very basic question. All these search parameters we are checking into. When will we use this? At what juncture will we use it in our system? Just for the UI when we are populating the data, or but basically for the exchange to happen first of all. The first thing will be like our database, we have to map it to FHIR data model. Once we do that, then our data will be available in this format.
Yes, but the thing is, we are not talking about that paradigm at all. So this is in the paradigm where you are adopting the FHIR server as a clinical data platform. You are starting to use the FHIR server. There may be ways to integrate your old data and migrate that to the FHIR server. but afterwards you're starting to consider the FHIR server or the FHIR data repository itself as your source of truth.
Source of truth.
Exactly. When you do that, all applications need to start using that as the source of truth. That's when this becomes useful. If you're still thinking in the exchange paradigm, this is useless. Like,
Yeah, that's what
like
I was thinking.
no need for this. So quickly, how do you show from this date to this date?
So use date and then the start date and end date in the format, file format.
Exactly.
Range or something.
That is good. So in FHIR again, like date is it's a quantity. It's kind of like a quantity. So any quantity you can do this. You can say date equal to, I want it greater than this value, I want it lesser than this value. So GT means greater than, LT means lesser than. You can also say GTE, which is greater than or equal to, and there are ways to do this. Again, very well documented in the search page, also available on the specific encounter resource. You'll have date. You can also do start date if you want. You can also do end date. Okay.
Just a small point, food for thought. We all think that data is stored differently, but one of the earliest implementations of storing date and time is a number of milliseconds from Unix epoch time.
Yeah. So in FHIR, you have the Unix EPO format. You have a lot of other formats. In FHIR, it's usually ISO standard time. So ISO standard is just like 2022 hyphen month hyphen day colon hour colon minute second, and then the time zone. This is very important. Okay, time zone is very important. So if you see a Z, that means it's GMT time. What is GMT? UTC. Yeah, UTC. Sorry, it's UTC, but it's kind of the same. Z is Zulu. Okay. But for India, you will see like plus 5:30, plus 5:30 our time. So it's whenever storing data, please store it in like UTC. Just make your lives easier. Like, don't store it in local time formats.
That is the biggest problem.
It's like
Time zones are the biggest problem.
you'll have like some 50 different times.
Any parameter which will filter the data?
Yeah, we saw this, right? So for example, you can sort it when.
We wanted to see only the location from Bangalore location or some specific.
Yeah. See, exactly like how we are doing status is equal to inputs. You can just say location equal to that location ID.
Yeah, I only wanted to see the location and the patient name. That's it.
Oh, here you're talking about. Yeah, this is fine. We are pulling this data and we are showing this. You can decide not to show it.
Yeah.
We are including it. We are rev including it. I mean, we are including it and we are showing these data points here. In your system, when you are searching the FHIR server and pulling it, you can just like not include that. I'm not talking about this as a product. This is like the FHIR APIs are what we want to focus on, right? I mean, obviously the software might have some configuration that you can use as well, but okay, we did this. Filtering is fine. Date is fine. Okay. Extremely popular use case. How do you search a patient?
Search
Like
name.
get, you can do it by ID.
Yeah, but here we are just searching by name. Let's say RE. How do you do it?
Subject name, and that to use the
Reverse include.
column.
Okay, that's if you want to do it on encounter, but most of the time you just want to do it on a patient, just
So
this
you're
patient.
directly-
It's like, is this intuitive? Can you understand this? Like patient name equal to RE. That's it. You search for patients by RE. Done.
Then you have exact and partial matches.
Yes, you have all of that, but like more advanced. You can look at the more advanced.
So that's 5 more minutes.
Yeah. How do you do this? This is a very popular use case, but how do you search by mobile number as they are typing? You would want to do something like patient equal to phone equal to this, but this doesn't work because if you look at the FHIR search parameter list, you'll see that phone is a token, right? Usually you have name as a string, so you can do partial matches. Tokens only work with full matches, right? So this is a very useful thing to have, but FHIR by default does not have it. So that's where you can actually post your own search parameters. You are not limited to the search parameters that are given by default on FHIR. You can do this. So here we are seeing, you can post this resource called search parameter. I'm saying that I'm interested in the patient resource, and this is a this is a expression that you're doing. I want the patient telecom where system equal to phone, and I want to treat it as a string. Okay, so if someone were to post this on Postman or Insomnia on the instance right now, then again, like this is also important. The code is phone_text, right? So we are defining a new search parameter. So then you can do phone text equal to this. You can define as many search parameters as you want on whichever resources you want. Okay, you'll have to do this if you're really serious about using the FHIR server as a CDR. Another quick one. So we also have these things like tags. Okay, like we want to include, okay, what's the procedure that was done? What was the latest diagnosis of this patient? And even what you somebody asked, what is the number of times the patient has come? These are things that practitioners have asked. Like it's there. There are ways to do it. I will leave it up to you for homework because it's not a trivial search parameter. You need to think a little. So rev include, it's quite simply put, it's the inverse of include. Include is when you have a resource and you have a reference there and you want to pull the associated resource to that. Rev include is go look at all the other resources of type procedure where this encounter is present in that procedure, right? So it's the reverse where you're searching everything else. This is a much more expensive operation. So we usually don't do this along with the API call. We instead do this asynchronously. We first load the page and then we start showing this. So you need to think about these things as well. And again, like condition encounter. Again, it's the same thing. This could have been an observation of a particular type. That's just blah. Although we don't store clinical data in FHIR, we use OpenEHR, but still.
So
this is also available in standard implementation.
Yes.
So that's one follow-up question. When you said about loading the results first, what is the thought process or the approach behind it?
Yeah, I mean, like we want to show them as quickly as possible the encounter list.
Correct.
So we load that immediately. We do not add this to that particular search.
Okay, in one single call that.
We don't make it in a single call. Make it as a subsequent call, so that this can load like 250 milliseconds afterwards. Like it's fine. That's about it. Like this slide got misjumbled, but we are both here, Purna and us. You can contact us if you want. There are a few questions, just like I don't know who asked them. SDOH.
Gravity.
Take a look. Gravity project. Yeah. Okay. FHIR server storage versus relational storage for patient records. Who was that? Anyone here? Probably not. Okay. There is this other thing. Available FHIR servers in the market today. Again, there are hundreds of these available, but like Google FHIR, Azure FHIR, AWS Health, like there is a lot. There are more questions, but we'll tea.
Yeah, thanks, Siddharth.
You must out Firely.
Firely. Oh yeah, there is also Firely. I'm sorry.
So
He will take offense.
he missed out his own also. So